And welcome back to Guillotine's Guitars here in Hartsville, South Carolina. We are on our guitar segment of the night.
Yeah.
There's nothing. We are on our guitar segment for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more time. Third time's a charm.
We are on our guitar segment for tonight.
Yeah.
There we go. That's what I was waiting on. Had a little hiccup. And ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Les Paul, the man himself. We're not just talking about his guitars. We're talking about Les Paul.
Not the Les Paul everybody knows about. We're talking about LESS Paul.
Where are you going with that?
You misspelled it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the way you spelled it. Yeah, it's LES.
He is less Paul than he is today.
Apparently, according to your Facebook, yeah. He's not a full Paul. He's a Les Paul.
I didn't realize what I was going for, but that was it.
That's okay.
Right.
You knew. I'll give you credit. You knew that Les was spelled with two S's.
I don't even know why you in the side. You play PRSs. I don't even know why you even.
Here we go.
All right, Les Paul. So he has basically changed the guitar world. You know, out of his back shop. He had a shop in his back porch. He whittled guitars out of one piece of wood.
You didn't do any research, did you?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That's right.
I'm going.
When did Les Paul invent the Les Paul guitar?
Well, he didn't invent the Les Paul guitar. Gibson did.
His mama invented Les Paul.
Oh my God.
If we want to be politically correct,
I thought he come up with the design like in the Epiphone factory or something.
No. Chris is laughing, but that's true.
It was true.
Yeah.
But he worked not many Epiphone. People know that Epiphone and Les Paul is tied together. I didn't know for a long time.
Well, Epiphone and Gibson are tied together.
Here we go. See, that's what I was talking about. I know Peavy was in there somewhere.
No, so yeah, no. Les Paul didn't design the shape of the Les Paul that you see now, but that was Gibson people, their engineers, whatever. But he developed what they used, what he developed. I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself yet, but they used what he developed, built the guitar around his ideas. So, but it's not. It wasn't like he said it. I want it to be this shape.
Well, how did this come about? Anybody know? How did?
Yeah. Well,
back in the day,
he was a strapping young lad.
I think he was a guitar player.
Yes,
and he was a
very accomplished. Yes,
good guitar player. Good there. You owe me a coat.
That was a good word.
I'm not a coat guy. I want a Beeman.
Hey, before we go, you want? Oh, you want a shot? You want a shot?
Yeah.
You want to do a shot before we start talking?
I do.
A shot would be nice.
A shot would be nice before we even started talking about this subject.
Oh, that's okay. We can start over again.
We just ruined this whole subject.
Oh, nothing is ruined. When you start the music back over again?
Nah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
I feel like that should be the music we play every time we get ready to do shots.
It's snake roundup time.
What kind of guitar you think that is?
There's a snake in my boot. Well, that's a banjo.
Yeah. That's Paul Les's banjo.
Paul Les. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's not a full Paul. That's a Les Paul.
Yeah. The plus came later. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen! I'm sorry. Yeah, we're supposed to do a shot before every subject.
Guess what our shots are for this segment?
Well, listen. The last shot we did, I have
never
heard of.
Do we have a little sound bite for that?
That stuff was pretty good. This, no, I don't think I have a good sound bite for what? For this or for what we had before?
For what nipple. You got now?
Yeah.
Buttery nipples.
Buttery nipples.
No, the only thing that I have when we get ready to do our shots here. So tonight's shots are brought to you by Trey Davis bought these. These are called
Look at my nipples. Look at my nipples. I tell you what, I can't never get away from it ever. Stuck in his little machine forever.
Welcome to the machine.
Welcome to machine.
Hey.
What song was that? Nobody.
Pink
knows.
Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
Welcome to the machine.
But guess what? You really stuck in this machine for next weekend. For what you said.
Oh yes, I've got 2 good sound bites from today's show.
I quit.
You will it after next week.
I quit. All right, here's the guitars, fellas. Here's the guitar segment.
That son of a gun had some booze in it, buddy.
Oh, yes, it did, John. You know, I talked to John this past week.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
Did you
about
tell
that.
him?
I did. I was drunk.
Wait a minute. He had no idea. That means he doesn't listen to the show.
That does.
That's right. He
John
don't-
just confirmed he didn't listen to. Did you
He
call
don't-
him out on that?
I did. I got mad.
We should talk to John. We should get John on the phone, have him do a shot
But-
with that, or we'll do a shot without him, and then have him play back.
I sent him. I sent him a clip. I think it was.
What the hell was that?
Sorry, me sipping my drink.
It sounded like
What's that?
Kind of cruising, I guess.
do it again.
He sips his drink. I don't know what to call that.
Cruising.
I drink my drink. You sip your drink.
Well,
I got a
I
lot of.
haven't been on a
I'm
cruise
trying to
lately.
be good with my language. I can't say what I want to say, but I got a lot of things to say to you after the show, and I'll say it to you.
I'll be okay.
God, it's hard. But I'm on the restraints right now. They said I can't say too many explicit language
Is
words.
that what you said on the cruise?
We're not going to talk
God,
about.
it's
If we're
hard.
gonna talk about the cruise,
On the cruise, he was wide open with everything. There was no restraints at all, I don't think.
He wasn't wide open when he got there, but when he left,
I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna shut the hell up right now. I ain't gonna say nothing.
look at Scott. What's wrong with Scott?
Your yellow ass teeth.
He wasn't wide open when he got there, but he was when he left. Oh man, that was
See,
what
I
Carol
can't
was.
be myself since I'm I can't tell you
I
what
think
I
that's
want
what
to say.
Carol was talking about it walking funny coming off too.
It's like you got me restrained by the base of my snarglies right now, Trey.
By the base of what?
My snarglies. I don't even know what that means. It just sounded good.
It did sound good.
Snarglies.
But
All right.
anyway,
Is that
Anyway.
something you caught on the cruise? You got to take penicillin for that.
the F word is on the. It's on the way if you don't stop. Shit.
Hey, language.
All right, so Les Paul. What's the first Les Paul that you? I know you learned how to play the guitar before the bass. Did you own a Les Paul? Did you own? What did you own the first?
No, I never owned a Les Paul.
Because
He
why?
does own a Gibson.
A very
Because
nice one, too.
Because they were expensive and
So it was like a prestige guitar that you couldn't afford at the time.
Well,
well,
was it-
they
hold
make
on.
cheaper models too. But
Yeah, but I
mean,
was going to say, you're asking him if he had a Les Paul? He might not have cared for the Les Paul. Like,
And that's what I was trying to ask him.
I actually didn't just because I do now. I love Les Pauls now, but when I first started playing, I was younger, so
Never had
I liked all the guitars that had cool shapes like the Flying V,
yeah.
You must
which is on our coin.
Yep.
Because the Flying V was one of the first guitars that caught my eye just because of the way it looked. You know?
And can you believe that the Flying V was made in the 50s? And you know what it was based off on?
What?
In the 50s,
I don't know.
50s, everybody was crazy about rockets and going to space and you had the 57 Chevy, and I think
Yeah.
all these other cars had the big fins out the back to make them look rockety.
So that's where they got the.
In the 50s, now this is the 50s where they're not playing the rock music that you hear today that you expect to see a flying V-shaped guitar. This guitar was developed or designed back then in the 50s to have that same kind of rocket look like the cars and stuff did.
Big and
Yeah, and
bold
rockety, just
and,
space. You know. That
so
kind
when
of
I know we're talking about Les Paul, but
Yeah.
when did the Flying V come out? Do you know?
I don't
Actual
remember.
date,
I don't remember, but I actually think that might have been this. Let me look that up. I've got a couple of Flying V's, but they're they're newer. But
Because I remember the first time I ever saw a Flying V, I think was Judas Priest, KK Down, not KK Down, but the other guitarist, what's his name?
was that in the 70s or the 80s?
That was in the early '80s,
Late
I
70s.
think.
I can't
I
remember.
think so.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, but that was the first time I ever saw a Flying V, and
I just thought it was always-
like the look of it and all. But getting back to the Les Paul,
Yeah.
when I first started playing, I wasn't attracted to the Les Paul just because I didn't care for the look of it or anything. Well, I said I didn't care for. It didn't.
Too boring for you.
Yeah, it didn't intrigue me really.
But it was
Didn't excite you when you was asleep.
was it because like that you didn't have a lot of the music that you were listening to? The guitar players weren't playing Les Pauls; they were playing Flying V's. Like
I think that might
yeah,
have been something to it, and.
So Wright said Fred wouldn't play in the Flying V that you desired.
No.
should I go ahead and cut his mic?
Cut it.
You're adding nothing to this conversation at all, Chris.
Well, he wanted to touch his tush or something. I don't know. He was playing that
No.
Les Paul.
See,
Flying V.
you're trying too hard. With your jokes, they're not hitting. They're missing.
I hope. Are you live right now so that everybody sees what you're?
Yeah.
You're down spiral,
Yeah.
downward spiral.
You're misfiring on everything. So it's best to cut your losses now and stop.
Well, yeah. I put in where I can.
On his cruise. Anyway,
No, but okay. Since we're talking about this, though, Trey, what about you? I know you are a big Les Paul guy.
yes, yep.
So when did you become fascinated with the Les Paul?
I'll tell you. So when Slash was one of the bigger guys for me when I was just this was a good bit after I started playing, but Slash was the one, and he's obviously a Les Paul guy. But then Billy F. Gibbons from ZZ Top, Les Paul guy. Those even I wasn't a huge Aerosmith fan, but
Joe Perry
had one, and
Brad Whitford too.
yeah, and there was just something about that guitar that just stood out to me, so I had to have one. And actually, my first Les Paul was a 1974 Ibanez copy, because in '74 Ibanez was getting away with copying their guitars almost identical. Even had for the custom, they had like a diamond shape on the headstock, and Ibanez was written in a cursive that was kind of close to the way Gibson was done. And they were sued right after that. But that was my first Les Paul guitar that my dad bought from me from a pawn shop here in Hartsville for $250. I'll never forget that. And so $250, like even back then was, even now, but that $250 for a kid like me to get a guitar like that.
Yeah.
So later in life, I was able to find another copy of what I had back then. But yeah, that's where it started for me was Billy Gibbons, Slash, and that was me.
Well, Slash. I think I read something about him.
The fake one. His Appetite for Destruction wasn't even a real Gibson.
Yeah,
it was a
but
copy.
I think he started.
Chris,
playing,
did you know that?
I'm just filming. I ain't paying attention to nothing y'all saying.
Chris, listen to me, Chris. Slash's guitar from Appetite for Destruction was not a real Gibson. It said Gibson on it, but it wasn't real. It was a copy.
That makes him a poser.
No. It makes him him a musician to get what you can get.
Yeah,
Right.
but actually, Slash was he was kind of like you, where
I like that. I like Slash was kind of like Trey.
But I mean, because he the reason he started playing Les Pauls was because the bands he grew up listening to, a lot of them played Les Pauls, and he was just like, he liked the way the guitar looked. You know, he liked the makeup of it.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily the tone, because he never played one. You know, he said, I didn't know anything about the tone or, you know, how it felt. He said, I just know a lot of my favorite bands, I saw the guitarist play in a Les Paul, and he was like, that's what I want to play.
Yeah. For me,
it was just because his idols played it.
Yeah.
That's why he wanted to play
Eric
one.
Clapton was a Les Paul guy too. Wasn't
he was, yeah. And George Harrison from the Beatles.
Yeah.
A lot of Zach Wilde.
Yeah. Well, Zach Wilde had his own. I know he was with Gibson for a while, but then he had his own model that had on the bottom part, instead of it being rounded, it had a little like a little stinger on the base of it.
Yeah.
Who made that guitar? Do you know?
I don't know.
I can't remember who he went to because he was with Gibson for a while, but then
he's not with Gibson anymore.
no, and he had this own
He's
custom.
with PV.
No, it's not. So anyway, well, for me, it wasn't necessarily the tone, because as a kid, I obviously knew I would never get that tone. I didn't have a big Marshall stack. I didn't have that kind of stuff. I had like a little tiny Gorilla amp with an 8-inch speaker in it. But I had a Les Paul, even if it wasn't a real one.
Guitarist, the tone. I always hear the tone. What the hell is the tone?
That's
The tone-
your sound, man.
I'll tell you what the tone is exactly what you would say about the sounds that would come out of that orange amp that I used to play, and you were like, "Oh, I love that sound." As a guitar player, you search for a sound all the time, and I'm still searching for sound, and I'll keep doing it because I'll go, "Oh, that I actually like it better if it sounds this way." Or like I was just talking about before we came back on, this one Les Paul that I have that has one pickup. It's different from the rest of them. It sounds different with this different amp that I'm playing through a little Marshall, than it did playing through the orange. It sounds better through that Marshall than it did for me. But somebody else could play that exact guitar or a guitar like it through another orange amp and love it. And that's the tone that they want.
Scott, do you search for tone in your bass?
Not really. But picking up on what Trey's talking about with the tone, I remember reading an interview with Slash talking about when they recorded Appetite for Destruction. And he said the tone, and you can hear the guitar in that album. It's like, he said it was, he tried to replicate that when they went back in the studio. And this was after they got big and he had a bunch of money where he could actually try and replicate. He said he was never able to replicate that sound in that studio. He said, I think he said he even went back to the same studio, tried to get the temperature in the room the same.
Temperature?
Yeah. I mean, tried to do all kind of stuff. He had his amp set the same way that it was when he recorded. Everything he could think of, and he was like, still couldn't get that sound that it had during the recording of Appetite for Destruction. Said
so he never figured it out.
No, he couldn't get that same sound. I mean, well, you could hear the
Trey. You relate.
You could hear the other albums. The tone isn't exactly the same. I mean, it's.
Did you have a tone like back in the day that you wish you had today than now?
Not back in the day, no.
No?
Not when I was playing those little Gorilla and PV amps, no. No, I had, but I was always looking for, I wanted to sound like my idols and the people that I love and stuff, but I couldn't do it because obviously I couldn't play like them, like they could. But like if you had, if you put Slash on your personal Gibson Les Paul and whatever amp you had, he's still going to sound like Slash. Like he's going to make the guitar sound. It's not going to sound like he would record it, but he's still going to sound. And I think that goes for like any big guitar players that have their own sound. And he has his own sound. And I know that he could get as close to what his sound is with your equipment.
And also,
but he's going to play different.
Also, the way they play, the way they
exactly the way you hold your pick, the way you hold your hand,
the way you mute strings. That Bob Rock, the producer produced Motley Crue, Metallica, all them. He said that James Hetfield's guitar during the recording of the Black Album, that James Hetfield would put his guitar down. Bob Rock said, I would go pick his guitar up. He just put it down. Everything's the same.
Haven't touched anything.
I could play it. He said, and it doesn't sound like James Hetfield playing. He said the same thing about
That's crazy.
About Mick Mars from Motley Crue.
So it depends on how you pick it and stroke it.
There's a lot of stuff.
Everything.
There's a
goes
lot of stuff
into the playing. He said it was the same thing with Mick Mars. He said Mick Mars would play his guitar. He said I'd go pick it up and play it. He said it sounds nothing like the way he plays it. It's just these great guitars.
It sounds like, and when somebody else grabs it, it sounds like you playing their guitar.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like.
He said it's everything from the way they hold it, the way they how hard they hit the strings.
There's been many times, and I'll say this: it's at Wahoo's. Every time we're at Wahoo's, there's something you're like, oh, I love the sound. But
see, that might be
we'll come back the next month
in the room or something.
That sound, I love this sound.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's because like
always something.
That's what if you look at all of our pictures and videos on YouTube of us playing there or anywhere else. Really, if you look on my side of the stage, you see it's always a little bit. Well, you see it when I set up.
You had plexiglass in front of your amp,
and then I found out that I liked it better without.
Exactly, but you loved it when you had it at first. You was like, oh my god, this.
Yeah, but then I did it different. I did something different. And I said, no, it actually sounds better this way.
Oh, listen to this. I mean, it's better, twice as better what it was last month. And I'm like, what do you want, man?
The guitar players
what
are
do
always
you want?
The guitar players are always searching for tone. And another thing too is that you've got the Les Paul. Let's go back to the guitar part, just the guitar, not all the amps and pedals and whatever, but just the guitars. So we've got a couple here. Here's two Les Pauls we've got here on the walls. One's an Epiphone, looks like a standard. This is a studio. They're different, not just the brands, but they're different in the way that they're built. They're both built with different types of wood. Epiphone has a laminate front on top of it, where this one's a solid body, but then your standards and traditionals that I play have mahogany body with a maple cap on top of it, and the maple cap is actually the part that's carved down. The Epiphones, to save money, they don't do that full maple cap on it. That's a solid mahogany body with just a laminate on top of it.
So that one is the more expensive one right there. Of
those two, but the Studio is a cheaper model of the line because it doesn't have that maple cap on the top of it. And then the electronics are a little bit different too, but like the pickups and stuff. And it also doesn't have the bonding down the neck and that sort of thing. So this is like I'm not gonna say you're more affordable, whatever, but
so it's basic.
It's a little more. It's more basic than the standards and the traditionals. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But so when Les Paul developed the guitar, let's go back to that for a second. Right. Leo Fender, the Fender guitars. They have just created. They needed to amplify these guitars on stage. You're playing acoustic guitars on stage with a microphone. Pickups weren't that. They would put pickups in acoustic guitars, but they would feed back so bad because they were hollow. So Leo Fender, I want to say his was first, the Telecaster. And then Les Paul comes up with this design where instead of it's all solid at first, it's just a solid piece of wood in the middle, a piece of pine right in the middle, but he had the two hollow pieces on the sides. And right now it's like the Gibson 335 is like that. It's a semi-hollow body guitar, and that's kind of closer to
Was that after the 334?
That's exactly why he called it that. Yeah. The Les Paul, the original one was called the Log, and that's obviously not going to sell a whole lot. Of guitars.
That sounds sexy.
That's what Les Paul named it.
That's what he named it.
The
yeah.
Log.
Well, Les Paul, before he built this guitar, now he was like known, and I thought you were going to go this way earlier. He was known for his innovation in recording. He created this whole. I don't think he created it, but he was developing this new way to record, doing overdubbing.
The multi-track.
The multi-tracks and overdubbing, and even delays, tape delays, and that sort of thing. So he developed all this stuff, and so he was like he just crazy mind, just one of those brilliant guys.
He was an innovator.
Yes,
I mean, in so many other ways than just a guitar.
Yeah,
just like you picking corn and turning the lights on. Innovator.
Corn
did-
and cotton.
Okay, is that made no sense? But okay, I'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guitar model, and oh man, I just forgot the name of it. But there's a
The
Les
Plus Paul?
yeah, there's a Les Paul. That'd be funny if that's actually what it was, but it's not. But there's
Times two Paul.
there's a Les Paul. I had an opportunity to almost buy one time, but it's got, you know, where you on your standard Les Paul, you've got 4 knobs and one switch, one 3-way switch on the top. This guitar that he had built, it was mainly for the studio. It wasn't set up for live recording or live performances. It was made for the studio. And this thing had, I'm looking back at this one behind me, but this thing had like a ton of knobs and switches all down here on the bottom of it, where you could get all these, you could put your pickups out of phase and all this sort of thing. And
That's just too much.
but for him it wasn't, because he was searching for that tone. Like we're talking about, like he was searching for. There's a sound in his head that he wanted to get out of it.
He's trying to.
And so he was taking this
Create.
guitar and just adding things to it to get it right. And they finally, with the Les Paul Standard, especially in 1959 when Keith Richards got the Standard. I know I said bad things about Keith Richards before, but when Keith Richards got the 59 Les Paul Burst, that's when that really took off. So
that's why
And
the
that was-
Burst is so popular.
yeah. It actually was part
I
of
didn't know
him.
that. I mean, as
Well,
soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that's why
Well,
it's popular.
Before that, like they were all gold
Like
tops.
that's what I was about to say. The gold tops was it.
Yeah.
Then the Burst came along, and
Yeah.
I know you have a
They wanted to
Burst.
change. I think
Was the Burst the one you dropped on stage that night?
all of my it was a burst. Yeah, mine was.
I
That was
think
actually called a desert burst.
Yeah.
The Burst is like the most popular Les Paul now. You know.
It is. Well, it's just that the burst is that different
it's
paint
a
from the outside.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful guitar. I don't care what you say. It's just a beautiful guitar. The Burst.
Yeah.
The Starburst.
sunburst. No, it's actually called a sunburst, not a starburst. And I have
You think of the candy.
yeah.
All right, so
I have a blueberry burst.
what the next story I want to go into. So you had an expensive, was it the 76 that you dropped?
No, it was a 2018.
Oh shit. Well, this story don't mean shit.
Every time, what's funny is that every time we talk about that
I
day,
thought it was the 76.
no, every time we talk about this night where I dropped my guitar on the stage, he always says, "Oh yeah, it was the 76."
I don't know why I immediately go to it, but I thought it was the 76 every time.
From now on, that's what it is.
Well,
It's
okay.
I don't even want to hear
Scott,
about
what
it.
year was you born?
It was a Prius.
Well, I
he
was-
dropped on
So
stage.
that's why he keeps going to it.
Yeah, well, no, I actually bought it because I was born in '76 and I had an opportunity to buy it. Now this goes actually further back than just the year. My first guitar that my dad bought me was at 1974 Ibanez Les Paul. It was Les Paul Custom. Les Paul Custom is like your higher end. Like I said, that's the one that little diamond up on the top. And I'd always wanted a real Les Paul Custom. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to afford a Les Paul Custom. And there's no way.
Till I
and
dropped
then-
one.
And then I didn't drop a Les Paul Custom. But then later I had some equipment that I'd sold and found a 1976 Les Paul Custom Burst in almost near mint condition, and I jumped on it. So that's why I had that guitar. I played that guitar on stage one time, did not drop it, but then I took it back home and I haven't played it yet. But I'll play it. I'll still pull it out occasionally and play it. But the problem is when we go to Wahoo's, I get too excited and I'll take my guitar and hit things that I shouldn't hit or throw the guitar on the floor. So
Well, it was
I
a
can't do that.
2017 Burst, so
It was a 2018.
it was a Prius. you can afford to lose that.
No, I can't. If I could afford to lose, I wouldn't have fixed it.
Well, go on with your story, but I want to go into how you fixed it. But go ahead.
No, that was it. That was my story.
Well, now, do you remember when he dropped it?
I do remember.
The first time.
I remember that. It
At
looked like his
Wahoo's.
soul left the body, but he kept performing. He looked at it for 2 seconds. He was like, shit.
His shoulders shrank, his body shrank. He was like,
You
Well,
know,
that's 'cause
you
I-
know, off,
Trey did.
That's because I just dropped
you know, off
10
the
pounds
Little
off of me.
Mermaid,
I was like, he's
the
about
Little
to,
Mermaid,
he's about to pass out.
the
now.
Little Mermaid, the little soul from Ursula's. They're like, oh.
I thought I
take
saw
her
that
voice.
too. Cover from Trey like, woo, going up. Like, bye.
But
I don't think it was that bad because actually,
short story for
so
everybody.
I reached down and grabbed it. I didn't know how bad the
Bad it
damage
was.
was. I just knew I dropped it, and my biggest concern at the time, because the head wasn't broken off, so I didn't think it was a problem. My biggest concern was actually because it was so pretty on the front that I just scratched up the front, because I'm looking at the back, so I know the front of the guitar is on the floor. But when I reached down and grabbed it by the neck, I felt a lot of bare wood.
a lot of play and
No, I
bare wood.
didn't feel the movement. I just felt splinters and and bare wood. So
And he just put.
I didn't even look at it.
I watched. No, he just put it in the guitar coffin and just kept performing. But
grabbed
I
another
was
guitar
like-
and kept going.
But I was like, nope. I saw his reaction. Something's wrong with that guitar. Something bad wrong.
Language, Chris. Language.
Sorry. But anyway, the interesting part is how you fixed it. This guy, what'd you do? Soak it in water for 28 days? And
I never said that at all.
it seemed like it. You was like,
Chris likes to add more stuff to it every time he talks
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I soaked it in water for 24 days.
He carried it out to the Arctic Ocean, put it down.
no.
I had to take it camping with me.
Yes. He put it in the Indian Ocean with
Yes.
the light salted water.
Light salted.
Okay, is that what it was?
Because I don't like a lot of salt, you know.
But tell us how. But please, even if it's brief, tell us how you fixed it.
Glue.
That's it.
That was brief.
Glue.
Well, no,
was
he
brief.
said he
You said
you
brief.
said you stressed your guitar.
All right, so what I had to do was actually take the way it was broken there were two large cracks going down the neck from the head,
Hold on, I got to record this. Hold on.
and I'm recording it right now.
Everything's recorded.
I'm
Chris.
literally recording it right now. Well, I feel weird when the camera's on me. That doesn't feel right. Are you live?
Well, you look bigger than what you are right now.
Thank God, because I'm not very big. No, all right. So it's cracked.
There's 3 Ps.
It's cracked from. I'll do a little show and tell here on one of Carol's guitars. I got my camera on.
But make it realistic. Drop it like you did that other one.
No, don't drop it. Get one of Scott's basses and drop it.
So from right here at the nut. Sorry, Chris, I said nut. Right here at the nut, and coming.
I saw Chris tense up.
He
was
got
like,
excited, didn't he?
ooh, nut.
There were two large cracks from here down to about the 5th fret coming down here. You could grab the head and you could move it a good bit. Now I had to put glue inside there. I have 2 options. I can push it back and continue the break so that I can get good coverage and find the wood. But I decided not to do that. So what I did was I put it on my workbench, put something under the neck, and I pushed down on the head to open up that crack as much as I could so that I could get glued down up in there.
All the way in.
Yeah, and so I had to push it to where I could hear it cracking. So I hated that part, but that's the only way that I could do it. And then I took wood glue and I put it in a little syringe with a really fine tip on it, pushed it down and got the glue all down in there, and then squeezed it back together. The problem was where the nut came together, or where it was broken up, there was pieces of wood inside there that wouldn't let it close completely. So I had to take it back off and do it again and dig out all that fresh wood or pieces of wood, and then go through the whole process
Who
again.
has the patience for that bullshit?
Somebody who doesn't want to buy a new guitar. It's already broken. I mean,
And
the worst I could do
He
was
has
break it.
played it over and over doing our shows, and it's like a brand. I
Yeah.
felt the neck of it. It's like you can't even tell it.
Oh yeah, I know.
This is
Great
great.
when he brought it out and after he fixed it,
What
I held it and I was
and
looking.
this
I was
is-
like,
this
you
is-
can't even tell what was broke.
Listen, this
Not unless you
is
look at it.
before that. Jason Anderson's guitar. Now that was his baby. How many years he had that guitar?
A lot.
Over 20.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I don't know if you're interested, but Trey Davis fixed his Gibson. He was like, he was just destroyed. He's like, I don't want to hear shit about fixing nothing. I was like, okay, just letting you know.
So Gibson Les Pauls are actually known for one of their weaknesses is the fact that the headstock goes back so far. I think it's like 14 or 17 degrees. And they're known, and that's a weak spot on a guitar, and it's always been that way. and there's only one model where they've put what's called a volute in there that they used to do back in the 70s, and there's a model a volute that thickens up that just thickens up the right behind the nut right
Thickens
there.
up the shaft before the nut.
Yeah,
You like that, don't you?
he's loving it.
You like that, don't you?
But
Come
that's a weak spot on the Les Paul, and so when I dropped mine, that's where I expected it to break. So I was actually lucky. I mean, you can fix it. They fix them all the time, and I could have fixed that one too. But where it was broken that worked for me. I was able to fix it quicker than.
And it still works to today.
Yeah, but if the Les Paul didn't have that
Does
17,
it stay in too?
didn't have that 17 degree
Yeah.
arch.
Oh my God! Act like you know what you're
would it-
talking about.
Would it sound the same? I mean,
It would. Well, yeah, it would sound the same. I don't think the angle has anything to do with the tone of the guitar. Fender got it right when they decided to go with the straight and they just have the head cocked back.
Yeah.
Gibson said, "Let's throw it back this way, and then let's never change it. It's just going to leave it like
Sounds
that."
like a chiropractor. Let's throw it back this way.
Yeah.
Lift the leg up. Let me get in there.
All right, I'm done nerding out.
That was a. But he fixed his own damn guitar. That was so cool. I loved it.
Yeah, and I still play it.
He still plays
Still play
it to today.
Actually, the only problem with
I
it,
know, yeah,
only
I know.
problem with it right now is from sweating and stuff. I've got some, and probably spilling alcohol on.
That was probably your biggest challenge,
I've got-
making the neck smooth, wasn't it?
no.
That wasn't your biggest challenge.
No, the biggest challenge was actually opening the crack up without.
Was you
snapping
nervous
the
when
neck
you did
completely.
that?
Hell yeah, I was nervous. Because if I go too
Did
too
you do
far,
it on the
too
water,
far,
like you
it
said you
snaps
did?
it
I didn't. I don't know where the water came from. I didn't.
You was in your pool.
There I was in my pool fixing my guitar.
But that
the blow
I mean,
dryer
just to
running.
listen to the process, I thought that was awesome. So you stressed the neck
Yeah.
until like before breaking point
In his pool.
and put filler in there and
Yeah,
When he was
not filler.
watching-
It was just wood glue. But I had to open up the crack more than it actually was. So that's why I was saying when I was opening it up, I could hear it cracking more, but I didn't have a choice because I had to get it
Almighty.
open as much as I could so I could get the syringe in there.
So before all this process,
Okay,
you was
I
like,
think
listen. You was like,
you
listen.
keep talking
I'll-
about this opening crack, and I see Chris getting excited.
Moving
well,
along.
I'm just saying. Before this process, you was like, I got to open
See,
this crack.
he's into it now.
I'm not. I'm talking about the
I
crack
did-
opening.
I
I'm
did
at
wait
the
a while.
crack opening, not my crack. He was like, listen, I got to open this crack enough where it can barely get something in it. You know, the best guitar I've ever heard you play was an acoustic Dean. It was an American flag sensation. On the
Bass
body.
guitar or guitar?
No, it was acoustic guitar. I think Sierra bought it for you for your birthday.
Yeah,
Right?
it was a Dave Mustaine.
Didn't it
Dean
get
acoustic.
stolen from Max?
It did.
So we was playing acoustic show in Max.
No, we were playing a regular show.
We was?
I had it, yeah, because a song that we did, I played the acoustic on. But yeah, when we were loading everything out at the end of the night,
You noticed it wasn't there no more.
yeah, I noticed it was gone. I was like,
It was no longer
yeah, I was
existed
like,
in your guitar
where is
stand.
my acoustic? You know,
Chris,
And-
what you do with my acoustic? That's the first. Him and his damn buttons.
No, that's what it sounded like.
but anyway, we did some investigative
Research. All right, Shaggy.
John pulled his cameras up, and we saw the guy
Oh yeah,
come
jumping the fence.
It was when we were carrying equipment out to the trailer, and I mean it was like a matter of 5 seconds. As soon as we got out the door, here he comes, grabs it out the back door, and you know at Max where they got the fence. So he had to jump the fence. He probably threw the guitar over, and then jumped it. I don't know, but you have cameras out there. But we saw him grab it, and we went back and found out that the guy where he was sitting at, where you could see him where he comes from,
Yeah.
there was
Leave a mark.
Yeah, on the table where he had actually signed his name. Because we went and looked at the table and saw the name and looked it up on Facebook. And
That
you could
was
see him.
Yeah, that's
It-
what
it
the
was
crazy
the same
part
guy
was.
was like,
Thank God for stupidity.
yeah, like he signed his name on the table.
Yeah. Dumb
Hey.
crook.
He ended up bringing the guitar back to you.
Well, no,
The law went to his house.
yeah, I got actually got Brian Rudick.
Rude it, yeah.
He said, you know, he said, you know, give it to me, I'll go. And he went and picked my guitar up from his house.
I can't take this show seriously when shit like this has happened.
Why not? This is an important show. You got to focus.
I feel like I'm gonna trip and he's gonna get me. Say something, Blake.
Hey,
Don't talk to William Shatner like
language,
that.
yeah.
That was like William Hicks.
Michael Myers don't talk. So what do you expect him to say?
Oh my God! Look at the. Oh, it was Uncle Fester just then.
Last call.
Oh, it's last call. I love this show. I love this show. God Almighty, I love the show.
I don't know who wants what color.
Hey Trey, take your hat off again.
I don't want to blind
Chris,
anybody.
which one you want?
I want the
Lime.
the pinky
Pink?
and my stinky.
Take the green one.
Oh my God, there's another one.
We are never gonna release the
Oh
show.
my goodness.
He just said I want to pick him.
No, and it's stinky. It's stinky. It's
No.
stinky.
No,
I
you
said
didn't.
Memories, man.
You said in my stinky.
You did.
Oh my God! Can we edit that out?
Oh yeah, we'll edit it out and put it in next week's show.
Yeah, a lot of editing. A lot of editing.
Drink your lime.
Cheers, guys. Hey, good show.
That son of a gun had some booze in it, buddy.
We trying to get it, John.
And now it's good to go. Man, this was a good show. I'm telling you, we had fun.
I like that music. We need to incorporate that.
I feel like I'm in Dollywood, like Tennessee. Feel like I'm riding behind my mama with her big hair.
I'll eat anything you want me to eat. Swallow anything you want me to swallow. Come on down now. Spit on the dog.
All right, everybody, this is a great show. This is season 2, cut 5.
Yeah.
And we are still alive.
We're still alive. Thank you guys for listening. Hope everybody's caught up with all the episodes. Continue to support us. Continue to share us. We appreciate you. Appreciate all our sponsors. Thank you for everything you do. This is Guillotines and Guitars, and we're out.
Y'all come back now, you hear?